What up, YouTube? I am back, baby. We are back. Today, don't got much to talk about, but we are going to discuss motorcycle pop culture. Let's get into it. Motorcycle pop culture is probably outside of word of mouth and friends and like an adolescent male or female looking out the window of their mom's minivan or their dad's truck, seeing a Harley Davidson. Outside of that, or any motorcycle, I shouldn't just limit this to Harley Davidsons, but outside of personal experience and having family members that have been motorcycle riders themselves, the number one thing that gets people on bikes is pop culture. To me, Harley Davidson really missed the boat this last decade. And I think sales and the decline of Harley Davidson as a motor company is proof of this. So, and I've talked a little bit about this on the channel before, but when you look at the direct correlation of a huge spike in Harley stock prices and Harley sales against the release of the television show Sons of Anarchy, they match up, right? Sons of Anarchy released, and all of a sudden, Harleys, you couldn't find a black Dyna at the dealerships. Americans, we are very much into pop culture. Obviously, it's what pop means, and pop culture is popular. And I think when it comes to motorcycles, it's no different. So if you want something to become a part of mainstream, or you're trying to boost exposure or the image of something, you make a TV show of it, right? Sons of Anarchy sold more Harley Davidsons than Willie G ever could have dreamt of. You know, the sheer influence on young men, and let's be honest, it's more men than women, so I don't know how anyone would take offense to that, but more young men saw Sons of Anarchy and was just like, that's what I want. That's what I need in my life. So they went out and they found either a used or a brand new Harley Davidson Dyna, or even, you know, a bunch of Softails got sold too, but Dyna's through the roof, you know, kept Harley afloat for a long time. And then, the show ended and so did sales. Well, not ended, but definitely huge decline. And then the Mayans came out, and what'd people buy? Heritages, you know? So there is a irrefutable correlation between pop culture and motorcycle sales. You put a show out, people are going to buy the bikes because it gains interest. And just because someone hasn't bought a motorcycle until they saw Sons of Anarchy doesn't make them a poser, or doesn't make them any less of a motorcyclist or enthusiast than anyone else. It's still a valid reason to buy a bike. You saw something, it interested you, you got into it, and you went and you did it. And at the end of the day, if you call yourself a motorcycle enthusiast or a motorcyclist or a biker or whatever the hell term you want to use, you should support that individual buying a motorcycle. It does nothing but help the industry grow, the sport grow. Everyone wants their respective motorcycle company that they support to do well. So I never understood the idea that some of these guys that it's a generational thing, obviously. I'm getting a text message. Stand by. I'm back. So just because someone wasn't born on the back of a Sportster, Softail, or Dyna, or whatever you ride, doesn't make them any less of a motorcyclist or an enthusiast or anything like that. People should support whatever gets people on a bike. Doesn't even have to be your motorcycle. But the reason I bring this up, there's two reasons I bring this up. Motorcycle culture is very much media driven, right? It's movies, it's TV shows, it's sporting events, it's things that people can watch and enjoy and then partake of in their own. It's the same reason why fantasy football is a thing. Because guys grew up, they played football in high school or college or whatever, and then they get out and they have a day job. And they want football to be a bigger part of their life still. So they have a fantasy football league. They watch the games, they buy the jerseys, and they participate themselves in fantasy football. It's Dungeons and Dragons for jocks. That's all it is, which there's nothing wrong with that. And depending on which generation you belong to was a different staple that got you into it. For me, there were several movies, obviously. The Great Escape with Steve McQueen got a lot of young men into motorcycles. You know, you're sitting down, you're watching an old war movie with your dad, and all of a sudden Steve McQueen is jumping motorcycles over fences in a war camp or a POW camp. And you see that and you're like, yep, and it immediately becomes a part of your personality. So you had the Steve McQueen flick, The Great Escape. You had, for me, a personal favorite, and a lot of people hate on this movie, like a lot, which doesn't make any sense to me, because this movie's amazing, but whatever. I digress. The movie in question is Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man with Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson. Amazing movie. And it's not sponsored by Harley Davidson and Marlboro cigarettes, but they got away with using those names by using their motorcycles as free advertising and naming the character those names. So Harley Davidson is the name of Mickey Rourke's character, and the Marlboro Man is the nickname of Don Johnson's character. It's a typical, the movie I believe came out in 85 or 86, something like that. And it's a typical 80s buddy action movie, right? These two friends, they ride motorcycles together and they're trying to rob a bank. I'm not going to go into the whole movie, but that movie and seeing Mickey Rourke on it was a FXR that was heavily modified. They call it the Black Death motorcycle because the builders who built that custom FXR for Mickey Rourke in this movie that was their company's name, was the Black Death. And so they call it the Black Death motorcycle, and it's beautiful. Great looking bike. It was raked out FXR. I know it goes against all the Dyna bros and all the FXR bros and the stunters and, where you want a short rake, but this bike and seeing Mickey Rourke's character on this bike is the thing that made me go, yep. And it's an immediate part of my personality is Harley Davidson motorcycles. You obviously have, it came out way before this, but you had Easy Rider, and that was my dad's generation. What got my dad's generation into motorcycles? Well, really, his generation was The Wild One, a movie about a guy getting back from the war and starting a motorcycle club and just being a rebel and all that jazz. But that movie was my dad's. I guess Easy Rider was my dad as an adult that reinvigorated his love for motorcycles. Everyone knows, I'm not getting into Easy Rider. Everyone knows Easy Rider. Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, y'all know. So I remember sitting in our living room with my mom, my dad, and my brother Richard. And we're sitting there and we're watching Harley Davidson Marlboro Man. And I remember the first time I ever saw this movie, it opens in a bar. my mom's hand immediately shoots over to my eyes, so I can't see this opening sequence because there was some adult content right off the bat. Like most great movies, you know how it is. Just kidding. So it opens with the bar fight, and then it opens with, technically the movie opens with Mickey Rourke riding to Bon Jovi in the background, and he's riding this FXR. But then it cuts to Don Johnson's scene, and that was the bar fight. But when we were watching that, we missed that entire first section, because back in the day, kids, nothing was on, there was no such thing as streaming. So it was just daytime television, Channel 3, and whatever movie was on. And it was obviously heavily censored for television back then, so my mom really wasn't protecting me from anything, but still, it was very suggestive anyways. So anyways, we're watching this movie, and then all of a sudden you see Mickey Rourke on this FXR, this beautiful motorcycle. And it was, the Evolution motor was still relatively new during this time, and so everyone wanted the Evo motor. They're coming off of the Shovelhead, they wanted an Evo. Such a great movie. Love that movie. More nostalgia than like fine film critic points that make me say it's because of this deeper meaning that makes this movie amazing or whatever. To me, it's the bikes. And then you have other motorcycle movies ranging from super bikes and crotch rockets to British vintage bike movies and all that jazz. And that's all well and good. But for me, the number one movie was Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man. We bought it on VHS, and I think we wore it out. Yeah, we definitely wore that tape out. And then you get into the television shows, right? And more modern era. And you had Sons of Anarchy, and I was in the military when Sons of Anarchy was on daytime TV. And it was right around the time I bought my Sportster. I was watching on bootleg DVDs seasons 1 through 3. And it was currently filming season 4, or they were on season 4 or something like that on TV, so I couldn't get the DVD. But when I was in Afghanistan, I had purchased, I'm not going to use the term we use because then YouTube will kill me or something, but bootleg copies of the DVDs of seasons 1 through 3. And I remember watching them in the MWR tent in Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan, and it just reinvigorated it, I never stopped loving motorcycles, obviously, but that was when I was like, man, I really need to buy a Harley. So yeah, Sons of Anarchy, and then after that, obviously, like I mentioned before, you had the Mayans, and now really cool news is Kurt Sutter, the writer for Sons of Anarchy, is producing a new TV show with Jason Momoa. Obviously, that guy's, he's got more Harleys than I'm sure Mr. Davidson does now. But they're producing a new TV show called Nomad. And it supposedly, what I can read on it, is Jason Momoa is a nomad for a specific motorcycle club in New Zealand. If it's New Zealand, then I'm assuming they're either going to be on, and it is Jason Momoa, so it's going to be Harley Davidson. It's not going to be BMWs or KTMs or anything like that. So it's going to be Harley Davidsons, and I'm interested to see what direction this show takes or where it goes, because whatever they're going to do, it's going to sell motorcycles. So I'm making a prediction now with this new motorcycle TV show coming out, sales are going to pick back up. It might be minor, and this isn't like the Red Eye, internet channel where I'm telling you to buy the stocks now, but watch them pick up a bit due to this show. Because like I said, Americans and other countries, obviously other more modern countries, but mainly Americans, we are driven by what we see on TV. It drives pop culture. And I'm really excited about this new TV show. If it's got Kurt Sutter behind it and Jason Momoa, I love that guy. I think he's great. It's going to be great. Speaking of Jason Momoa and motorcycles and pop culture, that guy had The Ride with Norman Reedus, the guy from The Walking Dead and The Boondock Saints. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen Boondock Saints by now, looking at you, Timmy, I don't know what you're doing with your life. That's an amazing, amazing movie. First one's better than the second one, but still, this isn't about that. Anywho. So, speaking of Jason Momoa, he was in I lost track of all the Fast and Furious movies after Tokyo Drift. I saw the first 3 and then I stopped watching the movies forever. But he was on a Harley Davidson Pan America, heavily modified Pan America in one of the Fast and Furious movies. Because why not? You know what I mean? How awesome is that? So yeah, that's my predictions. I think Jason Momoa on a Harley Davidson in New Zealand, it's going to sell Harleys. I mean, how can you not want a motorcycle after that? But that's kind of the thing I'm talking about. I think Harley's, they got their new CEO. They're moving in the right direction. 2026 is just around the corner. They're teasing a huge reveal for January of 2026. I'm really hoping that they get... I mean, I seriously doubt they're bringing the Dyna back, but it wouldn't hurt. If they take the Milwaukee 8 motor or even the Rev Max and they put that into a Dyna chassis, if they bring the Dyna back, people's heads are going to explode. Even though Uncle Rob brings up a good point, because him and I talk about this all the time. Can't always talk about work at work. The new Softail platform is and don't string me out in the comment section over this one. I mean, do whatever you want. But it is irrefutable that the Softails with the Milwaukee 8 in it, they outperform the Dynas, hands down. Now, Dynas were cool because they were cheaper and you were easily modified, and people really liked the lightweight frame with the big V-twin. You did great for stunting and drifting and wheelies and all that happy jazz. But the Softail outperforms the Dynas, like on a drag strip. And unless you dumped a shit ton of money into a Dyna, a stock Milwaukee 8 Softail off the line, just roast it. So I don't know the predictions for what Harley Davidson is going to reveal in January, but it would be really cool if they either had a cheaper, smaller, lighter Softail with dual suspension in the rear, i.e. a Dyna, or they're bringing back a bigger lineup of entry-level motorcycles, which is what this video in today's episode is all about. It's about getting new people on a bike. It's about adding to the riding pool of America. I have several friends that I've been trying to get on a motorcycle the entire time I've known them. And to me, it seems like, well, they're just not into it, right? Which is crazy to me, but it's not crazy to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the football analogy that I made earlier. Some people are just not into bikes. It just never clicked for them. Their brains aren't wired. And I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're either a friend of mine and feel obligated, or you're into motorcycling. That's how our brains are wired. We see a big motor on a motorcycle chassis and frame. You see 2 wheels. You see freedom. You see the possibilities, the feeling, and you know that feeling of wind in your hair, or if you wear full face, the wind on your body as you're just taking a slice of your own reality and it's yours and no one can change that. You already know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to convince you to get on a bike, but motorcycle pop culture is what drives people to buy motorcycles. And if you have a friend that you've been trying to get on a bike and you were successful, Comment in the comment section below, what is your secret? Because I got several buddies of mine that I'm begging to get on a bike, so they'll just go on an adventure with Uncle Rob, Cousin Connor, myself, Mitch. Mitch, I need to come up with a nickname for you, buddy. Because Cousin Connor's got cousin, Uncle Rob's got uncle. So I need to come up with a fun name for you. But either way, we need to get more people on motorcycles is the whole point of this. We need to get more motorcycles out there on the road. Comment in the comment section below exactly how you did it, because I got like 6 buddies that I've been trying to get on the back of a bike. I know, and it doesn't have to be a Harley, just as long as it's got 2 wheels and an engine, not a battery. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna bite onto that hook. I'm not gonna be into electric bikes. I'm sure they're cool. I'm sure, and like, it's a double-edged sword, you know, because electric motorcycles would outperform a motor 9-to-1, you know, but it's just not the same. It's not as kinetic. It's not as visceral. It's not as, you can't modify a battery, you know what I mean, to suit your needs. You can't tinker on a battery. Well, you can, but I don't recommend it. The same way that you can tinker with a motor, an engine. So yeah, it's great and all, but it's not the same. So I know it's a price point issue. I know motorcycles are expensive, and if you're not into it, dropping even on a used bike, 10 grand is a lot of money. And I get that, but I need some pointers from you people on how to get buddies on bikes. Most of my friends right now ride motorcycles. But there's a couple of you out there, and you know who you are, that don't. You need to get one, guys, so you can go on motorcycle adventures with your motorcycle friends. But in the comment section below, I want you to comment your favorite motorcycle show or your favorite motorcycle movie, like The Bike Riders. That's another one that I forgot to mention. Great movie. Great movie. Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, get out of town. Comment below your favorite motorcycle pop culture thing, be it a video game like Road Rash on Nintendo. If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up on this one. But whatever it is, whatever piece of motorcycle pop culture that got you into bikes when you were a kid, I'm interested in knowing, because I want to do a follow-up video to this one. This winter, especially when it's like, what, 30 degrees outside right now? It's freaking cold. In this video, I mean, when I started the camera on this video, I didn't really have a direction that I wanted to go. I wanted to talk about motorcycles in movies and shows and pop culture. And it kind of, you know, led to, that's what gets people on bikes. I think what we can all agree on is the more people on motorcycles, the better these companies are going to do, and the better these companies are going to do, the more motorcycle stuff that they're going to make and release and change for the better, and that benefits all of us. So, yeah. And you know, it's funny that we bring up pop culture in this, because YouTube is now pop culture. You know, people watch, I can't remember what the statistics are, but people watch more YouTube than they do movies and shows now, you know, which makes sense because YouTube is so easy. It's accessible. It's free for you to watch it and make an account. And it hopefully will always stay free. But motovlogging was really popular about 5 to 10 years ago. 5 to 10 years ago, I mean, you couldn't turn on like Do It With Dan just has you go look up Do It With Dan. He has a video on this that he just released a few days ago while I'm filming this. So for you, it'll be about a week and a half ago. But he released a video on where did all the motovloggers go? And it made me start thinking. I was like, yeah, when it wasn't that long ago that you would turn YouTube on and it was just nothing but motovloggers, you know? At least if your algorithm was kind of directed in that direction, if you will. But nowadays there's not as many, which is kind of sad, because moto vlogging, they don't compete with one another. Like Thrash and Supply and Cruzy Originals, they're not, just because you view them doesn't mean you can't also view them. So it does nothing but help other motovloggers, the more motovloggers there are. Then you look at way down at the bottom of the list, you have very, very small YouTube channels like mine and Mozak Rides Again and Midwestern Motorbike. By the way, Midwestern, by the time you see this video, you'll probably already have it. So I got excited for nothing. But just so you know, today was the day I mailed off your stickers. So fun fact for you. You got the other YouTube channel that I've been conversing with, Okie Riders. The smaller YouTube channels, I think, is where all the creativity starts to come out of. Because when you're a big time moto vlogger, you're sponsored, you're getting paid for your content. It's not, it kind of loses some of the authenticity, I think. That's not saying that if Harley Davidson wanted to sponsor me and give me a bike to review and test ride and get out there, of course I'm going to take that opportunity. Are you crazy? Like people say, oh, I'd never be a sellout. Sure you won't. Because that would just be amazing, be given a free bike. I mean, get out of town. But either way, so you lose that authenticity a little bit. So, there's a lot of smaller YouTube channels that are centered around motorcycle and motorcycle culture, and I just think that's really cool. And the more the merrier. So if you have a buddy who you've also been trying to get on a motorcycle unsuccessfully, tell them to start watching more motorcycle movies. Be a little sly with it. Start suggesting motorcycle TV shows and movies that are centered around bikes and stuff like that. Can't go wrong, But yeah, I'm really interested to know what you guys, what your favorite pop culture references to motorcycles are. Tron, that's another one. Even though would those be considered electric bikes? It's digital motorcycles. That's a whole other thing. That's like electric inception motorcycles. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's still motorcycles, which I think is great. So yeah, comment your favorite motorcycle themed movie and or TV show or whatever the hell, and comment your first memories of motorcycles. Mine was, we were in Shelton, Washington, or just outside of Roy, Washington, at a family little get-together. And I had a couple of uncles there that they married in. They weren't blood related, but they both rode religiously. And they each had shovel heads. Well, one of them was a panhead. The other one was a shovel head chopper. And I remember watching my uncle, I think it was Randy, Uncle Randy. I think it was Uncle Randy or I can't remember which uncle it was. He's now a long haul truck driver, which is kind of cool. But watching him try to kickstart his shovel head, and he was having a hell of a time getting it running. But then when he did, it was really fun to watch the whole process of him starting his bike. It was very romanticized because he had this process of starting his bike, prime twists. It was a shovel, so he didn't have to worry about his timing or anything like that. But watching the other uncle on the panhead, watching him adjust his timing and doing his priming and prime kick and then turn his fuel on, give it another couple of twists, and wham, one kick bike, and it's running. And the whole thing just, like, I remember the core memory. I'm sitting down, there was a campfire over here. I'm sitting there, and they're all laughing and playing, and all the other kids are running around doing other things, but me and my brother are just, zoomed in and locked in on our uncle trying to start this shovel head. And I think that's when it started, was like, yeah, I want that. And then later movies and TV shows. And obviously, I'm a millennial, born in '89. So, you know, all the pop culture just really cemented, yeah, motorcycles are going to be my personality for the rest of my life now. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the video for this week. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to me ramble on and on about motorcycle pop culture. The garage is coming along, the bike is coming along, and we can't have a motovlog episode without taking a look at the motorcycle. So let's do that. As an update, I did get a new trickle charger for the bike from Harley-Davidson. It is the Harley-Davidson 5 amp trickle charger. And a little side mechanical note or maintenance note for you guys. If you guys were like me and had your bike on a trickle charger, and in the springtime or even every couple of weeks, it was still really hard starting, it's probably because your trickle charger isn't putting out enough amperage. So I looked it up. I finally got sick and tired of my bike consistently every day being on a trickle charger and it's still not wanting to fire when it's cold outside. So I started doing some research, and turns out these Milwaukee 8 motors need a 5 amp trickle charger. It's what Harley recommends. It seems like a lot, right? It seems like you're cooking your battery, but it works. It started amazingly easy after I didn't start it for like 2 weeks, and it's pretty cold out right now. So it works. 5 amp trickle charger, guys. It's what you need. I know, it seems like a lot. I know. Yeah, I can't have motovlog without looking at a bike for a little bit, you know what I mean? Heck yeah, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in again to watch my videos. Give me a like, a comment. If you're not subscribed already, it would be really cool if you were. Remember to comment. Keep that engagement going. I really appreciate you guys. Keep the shiny side up. And if it's cold where you are, remember it's only temporary. You know, winter isn't forever. Spring is right around the corner. You know? Try to stay positive when it's cold outside and it's miserable and none of the leaves are alive anymore and there's ice on the roads and snow is coming and that big fat guy in a red suit is going to be breaking and entering any minute now. But the sooner he does, the sooner spring is right around the corner. So stay positive, guys. I'll see you guys when I see you. Take it easy.